So, Rumana, where's everybody from? I see lots of different faces.
Yeah, so we will have some, like I think you've already met Mickey, you've been talking to her. But first of all, I'd like to welcome you as well, Robyn, and everyone else. Most of you know me, but the ones who don't, we are Real Estate Factory. My name is Rumana Khan. I'll be hosting this webinar today. It's all about migrants or migration relocation and how it ties in with real estate. And how it came about is me and Robyn have been working on some clients in common, and we found out that an end-to-end service cannot happen without the right professionals working together. So I'm very fortunate to have her here today to tell you all about what happens from A to B, and what to watch out for before, during, and after, and how we can help you. So, Robyn,
without trying to scare anybody.
Yes, there's some nightmare stories that we're going to share with you as well, but a few house rules here. If you want to mute yourself if you're not talking, please, and put any questions in the chat, or unmute yourself if you want to ask any questions along the way. We want to make this as interactive as possible. And Robyn's amazing at what she does, so I'm not going to take much more time. I am going to pass on to you, Robyn, if you want to introduce yourself and maybe ask anyone else questions if you like.
Thank you. Hi, everyone, and apologies again for the mix up. It had me in quite a panic, and I think I've calmed down a bit now, but good afternoon or good morning, depending where you are. Hi, I can see a couple of, yes, familiar faces there. So I'm Robyn Vogels. I'm the owner of Personnel Relocations. I'm also the co-author of the book, Your DIY Move Guide to Australia. So the idea behind the book was to try and bring as much information to people who are moving to Australia as we possibly can, because many people kind of fall through the cracks and not sure where they can get reliable information. So the book is on Amazon. You can get it anywhere on Amazon, Your DIY Move Guide to Australia. And Personnel Relocations, we're on all the social media platforms, and our website is personnelrelocations.com.au. We're a relocation business. We've been in business since 2008, helping people to move across the globe, across the country, or just across the city. And most importantly, what we do is work with our clients to find them a house to move directly into, so they don't incur any costs of hotel accommodation. So there's a big saving in doing that, besides having somebody holding your hand. So we help you shortlist suburbs, find schools, find a house, and settle in a lot easier. That's me in a nutshell.
Perfect, Robyn. I guess you've prepared a nice deck for us to go through, so for us to understand better how you actually do what you do. And I think everyone's eager to talk about some case studies as well. And I'm going to jump into, because obviously we've got some clients in common, and just tell people what we've done to tackle those issues.
Yep, great. So I haven't got slides. I can certainly put some slides up if you want, but it's more about interacting and talking to you and answering any questions that you have. But just to give you an idea, I'll talk you through some of the clients that we've had over the last 6 weeks. So we had Dr. Hung and his wife, Dr. Hung and her husband, get it right. Dr. Hung came to us and she said, they're coming from Hong Kong. They're looking for an apartment. A few things that they liked, needed to be 2 bedrooms, etc., etc. They had a small problem though. They were coming to Australia, but her husband has a phobia of insects. So they really wanted to be off the ground. So coming to Australia and having a phobia of insects is a bit of an issue. But we did manage to find them an apartment, and they went straight into their apartment from quarantine, so they didn't have any hotel. We also had the Van Heerden family. The Van Heerden family came from South Africa. They wanted to be in a particular school zone. And when I looked at the school zone, and I went back to them and I said, why is it that school zone that you wanted to be in? And the wife said, well, it looks really good. Their statistics are very good. I can see that all the exam results are very good. I really want, good education for my children. Unfortunately, the school zone wasn't in the demographic or the areas that that would suit their lifestyle. And when I kneaded down a little bit further, I actually found that that school wasn't going to be the right fit for them just because of the population of the school. They wanted a very small, nurturing school, and this was a highly populated, high international school. So it really wasn't going to suit their children. We did manage to get them in the right school zone, and we got them in a house. And again, they applied for the house while they were in quarantine. So obviously, there's been a few hurdles to go through, getting through quarantine and COVID-19 at the moment. And we also had another client who literally came in the week before last, and they got a knock on their hotel door on Friday to say, quarantine's been reduced, you're free to go. And they were kind of like, really? Is this a hoax? Somebody just come into the building. They did get an email an hour later to say, no, quarantine's reduced. Luckily, we already found their house. And because it was their dream home, they had taken the lease a week earlier. So they were able to leave the hotel on Saturday morning and go directly to their home. They sent me a text message, which I won't share with you, but it was all of them in the swimming pool. So they, within an hour of arriving, they were in their swimming pool and enjoying their home. So what I've been work mostly with is families who are looking for rental properties and just looking for somebody who can work through the rental process with them. Rumana, did you want me to go through that rental process a little bit with people? Because I think it's more relevant when we're coming back to buying a house.
Yeah, as we can maybe briefly touch on it.
Yeah.
It's more about, I think a lot of people here are from the property sector as well. And what we possibly wanted to understand is how clients that are moving from overseas, what they actually need to worry about before they get here. Because I mean, as you know, we both have some clients that are wanting to purchase their property instead of renting, and don't understand the Australian requirements when it comes to stamp duty, when it comes to deposits. It's very high deposits compared to the United States and all. But it's obviously it's not just you and me working on getting clients from A to B. There's people like immigration lawyers, there's conveyances, there's also other people that sort of come into the picture. So I think we want to sort of understand a bit more how the overall process and structure works, and how relocation and real estate kind of mix.
Yes, we'll come on to that.
Sure.
So although I'm working predominantly in the rental market, and obviously there's a lot of landlords that are calling me constantly and saying, I've got a beautiful rental home, I'm looking for professional tenants, sorry. So we do work a lot with private landlords, but mostly we'll go through real estate agents. And what we're finding with those that are looking to buy is that we can actually find them. Is there a way to mute Nitesh? Can we mute him? Can just,
Yes.
Nitesh, are you still there?
I have done it.
Mute him at all. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. I can't hear myself. So yes, working with the buying process, which I'm not, the expert in. Rumana is the expert in that, but the buying process here in Australia can take quite some time, and often that is difficult for people who are relocating. They don't have time to buy the property before they arrive. Although Rumana and I have found a few, not loopholes, but ways that you can purchase a property before you arrive, depending on your visa type. So we're working together to put people perhaps into a rental until they can find their own home. And also coming internationally, you don't really, most people I find haven't had a chance to visit Australia. So you come into something really unknown, and to make an investment into a home can be quite tricky. But we can at least go and inspect the home on your behalf, do videos, do a full report. And we're there as your clients, basically. We're not there as the estate agent who might not show you a leak in the roof or the dog barking next door. So that's, you know, that's one way that we've been able to work carefully together. You're still going to need, you know, your visa to come to Australia, and there's different visa streams. I'm not an immigration agent, but there are a variety of visa streams, and I really encourage you to get in touch with a immigration agent, a MARA registered immigration agent, if you are thinking of moving across here, or if you've got clients that are moving across to Australia. Get in touch with professionals who can give them the right advice, because there are restrictions on what they can buy and how they can buy depending on their visa status.
About you, Robyn, though, is you work with a lot of immigration lawyers as well, who
yes,
refer to.
Absolutely. Yeah, and absolutely, and reach out to me if you need some advice of who to deal with, because immigration people, yeah, I'm talking to them every single day, and both in my corporate and my private clients, I'm talking to immigration people. So definitely reach out to me if you need any advice of, and there again, it depends on your circumstances. You know, if you're looking for a student visa, there's one immigration person that I would send you to. If you're looking for a visa for farming, there's a different immigration person I'd send you to. Not all immigration people are generalists, but over the years, I've learned who are better in certain fields than others might be, and who have the right experience in those fields.
Right.
Did you want to chat about some of those case studies then?
Yes, we can definitely. Do you want to pick someone? I mean, I can potentially talk about myself as well, Robyn.
Yeah.
I mean, I have moved internationally, I believe 10 times, if not more, across continents. And trust me, the first few times it was probably fun, because you're, you know, looking forward to your new country and exploring as when you're like a young person. So I didn't have family for the first time around, and that was very easy. Probably just had two suitcases at most, and you know, you kind of start your new life in the new country. And I didn't have any relocation specialists helping me, or I didn't need an immigration lawyer because I was moving within Europe, being a German. But there was certainly a lot of you know, mistakes that I did and I could have prevented, especially when it came to choosing the right location to live initially. How to rent. I had no idea how rental procedures, you know, were in the UK. I had no idea how much it costs, what I can bring, what I can't bring. I struggled for 3 months to get it, you know, all sorted with medical insurance, where to go to register. I had no idea. I had to do all of that. But yeah, it certainly would have helped and cut down sort of 6 months of my miserable journey in the beginning. I had someone.
But that's the thing, isn't it? You don't know what to do first, you know. And even now during COVID, I have clients who sort of saying, okay, I need to do my driving license. And we're like, yeah, but you need the house first, you know. And if it wasn't, or they'll go driving around in suburbs for hours and then realize it's not the suburb for them, you know, whereas they could have spent half an hour with me and I could have told them, yeah, that's not working for you.
Yes, exactly.
But you know, that's probably also something else worth mentioning is a new platform that I'm launching next year. Do you mind if I
Yes, please.
give a shout about that? Yeah.
Right.
So that's actually going to be a immigration networking platform. So very loosely, it's almost like a LinkedIn for businesses, but on the side of it, it's going to have a whole marketplace. So all the things Rumana was just saying, I don't know what to do first. I don't know how to do an Australian resume. I don't know this, I don't know that. The Immigrant Networks platform will be able to help with all of that. And even as we're talking now, you know, and having buyers advocates or having immigration agents, we cherry picking the people that we want on that platform. And it's really going to be great for any immigrants and as well as those people who want to be on the marketplace for it. It's going to make life a lot easier for migrants. So I'm super excited about that coming in March.
Nice. Is there anything you want to share maybe on your screen, Robyn, or a link in the chat that you can share?
I can in a second. Let me get it up. If you want to carry on talking, I can share some stuff.
Yes, definitely. While we're waiting for Robyn to bring something up, is there any particular questions that anyone wants to ask in the group at the moment?
Don't be shy.
We don't bite. No, not really. Okay, cool. I guess while we're waiting, what we'd really like to sort of share is that every person's situation is different. Every person's requirement is going to be different. So the professionals that come on board to help you move from A to B is going to be, different as well. Now, Robyn deals with a lot of HR professionals. That means companies that send their staff across countries for a new life. And what that mainly means is those people will have a long-term visa, and most of the times they are a type PR visa, a PR type visa. So PR means permanent residency visa. And that's very, very important for foreigners, unless they are actually Australians moving back to Australia, to have considerations with regards to application to FIRB, being a foreign investor classified, unless they have a PR visa, because foreign investors, in terms of lending, do not get the 80%. They get a lot less from lenders, I think around 60% or so. And on top of that, they could potentially end up paying 13% of stamp duty compared to just the 5% that's currently Australian rule. So a lot of money involved there, and very, very important that people discuss their visa type with their immigration lawyer if they are planning on purchasing property in Australia.
Exactly. And I think some of the timelines can be tricky as well. I know, in England, for example, they have the chain, whereas you don't necessarily have that here. So I think foreigners are often asking me those questions around buying, is how long that process takes.
From my understanding is, and I'm, sad that Ron is not here, Ron Cohen. He actually deals with the legal side of things when it comes to application to FIRB. So some of our partners can give you that advice in what do you need to do to convert your visa type. And that can take roughly about 3 months from what I've been told. So it's not that long, but if you haven't, I think we'll talk about the case study later, because that's cover a lot of things that we're talking about. So I'll pass back on to Robyn and let her share.
Let me just share my screen.
Hi, Shri.
Oh, hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Stuck on a call.
Good to have you.
So let me just get out of full screen. Have you shared, can I share screen?
I believe you can. I'm just going to, yes, it's all participants.
Oh, that's not the screen I want to share. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to quickly show you, this is on our website, and there are a lot of free resources on the website for people that are moving. So if it's not yourself or you've got a client that's moving, you can direct them to this page. You can download a relocation checklist as well as the cost of living. And that can really help you to set your budgets, whether you're looking to save money to buy a house or just your moving costs. There's also information on quarantine and border control. Immunizations are a big thing at the moment. And if anybody's moving with children, that's very important. Applying for your tax file number. So there's a lot of information on my website that I just wanted to direct you to. We've got a lot of blogs, and there's a lot of information in the blogs too. Some of these blogs are where I've been interviewing people, and they're on our YouTube channel, and there's sort of a condensed version of that on our blog page. So please do have a look out for that. I'll quickly give you a quick oversight of the Immigrant Network. So this is the Immigrant Networks in Canada, and this is what we're bringing to Australia in a couple of months' time. But it really is built on helping migrants to find jobs and connect with industry professionals. And if this is only about 20% of the website that's ready at the moment, but you can see already people to help with LinkedIn profiles, resume covers, mentors, masterclasses, small businesses. So there's a lot of information that will be coming on that, and we're going to be escalating that as migrants need different services. So I just, where's my presentation?
Just on that, Robyn, does that mean that you also have clients that you help finding a job before they get to Australia?
Immigrant Networks will be mostly about job finding.
Okay, so if any of the businesses or even the people that are on board today had a requirement for, like job openings, they could get onto your platform and say, hey, Robyn, anyone that's coming over, I need XYZ because there's a skill shortage in Australia.
Correct. There's a skill shortage in Australia, and don't you love it that they said there's a skill shortage here, have a visa, come to Australia, and then there's no jobs. And the migrants tend, land up doing all sorts of things that really aren't with their skills. So the main part of it is job readiness, helping them to upskill, reskill, whatever they need to do, but also to find volunteer work, to get that internship, to just get that foot in the door and find some work. Now, the Australian site is not up and running yet. We're only launching in Australia in March of next year. But if anybody is looking at the Canadian market, they can go and register on the Canada market. If you're looking to come to Australia and you want to be kept up to date with that, you can just email me, info@personnelrelocations.com.au. I'll put it in the comments for you just now. But you can email me. We're setting up sort of private groups where we will keep people who will be looking for jobs, so the job seekers and the marketplace people. So contact me if you are interested, and we're only launching in Australia in March. But if you're thinking of heading to Canada, which I hope none of you are, you can already register on the Canadian site, and it'll actually match you with people in your industry. So it works on algorithms to actually match people that are in your industry or in your experience, and you will get a Zoom call each week to be able to meet with people in your industry, which is really helpful.
Gotham is actually asking if there's a US site as well.
Not yet. It's the founder is based in Canada. His name's Nick Noorani. He's well known in the Canadian immigration circles. So he's actually developing it. Australia will be second, then possibly, then will be the UK. And then we're not sure whether Germany or US will be after that.
But I mean, in the meantime, people can reach out to you, and it doesn't really matter which area they live in.
Yeah, reach out to me and I'll keep you in the holding pattern if you like. And at least that way they can keep up to date with, what's happening and where we are with the launch.
Great.
Now, I just wanted to touch on this because, Rumana, this is something that you and I have been working together with a little bit with a couple of the clients, is going through the needs analysis and understanding the family. So can I jump straight into that case study and give the background to it?
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it. So we'll jump into one particular case study that we had where I had a client that was coming over. She's coming from America, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yes. And this is quite typical. I often get clients who own numerous properties around the world, and they find it really hard to rent a property. Security to them is owning their property. Investing in property is what they are used to. So it's been really good that I can then call on Rumana and we can try and work with that client together. So doing a needs analysis, now the Personnel Relocations needs analysis is almost 8 pages. It's an online document, but at least I can go to Rumana and I'm going to say, this is the school we've chosen. This is the sort of suburb that we need to be in for that school. And we'll work together to find that family a home. So it's really nice that we're able to combine our expertise and find the right area, if you like, for the family. And then shortlisting homes. Rumana and I have been able to at least, if there's a house that the family's liked, but it's not going to be ready for them to purchase for another 2 or 3 months, then it comes back to me and I'll find them a rental for that time. And then they can move into the buying process. Or I think in that, we've had a couple of cases where it's been more about them obtaining finance until they've arrived in the country. Is that right, Rumana? Some of them have.
Yes. So what what the challenge was with this particular client is because they don't know how they have come to Australia before, but just to visit. So they've never lived here. They don't have a clue about how the finance side works. So their expectation was, we can get finance or loan based on any amount of deposit, which is just not the case in Australia. So they were shocked when they found out, okay, we need 10% deposit. Lending is max to max 80%, but that's only if you're actually a resident in Australia. So the whole concept of being a foreigner and buying a property in Australia, as mentioned before, there's additional costs attached to it. So their visa type, although they are on a long-term 4-year visa here in Australia, they are still classified as foreigners. And that means step one, you actually have to apply to FIRB to obtain the right to purchase in Australia. So you can't just buy, you actually have to seek permission. And once you have that, I think that process costs $4,000 to $5,000 from memory. However, you can, if you are able to come up with the additional 8% of stamp duty, if you have that cash, you can actually purchase before you get here, making sure that your conditions in the contract say subject to FIRB application. So you don't have to apply before you purchase in a way. So there's a few ways to do it. But I guess because they needed a loan, it's been quite a struggle. And I'm not sure if V is actually online, but she is looking after the finance for this particular client. And we haven't come to a conclusion yet because of the shortfall in basically deposit funds. But then, as you know, Robyn, these guys are on a really, really high pay salary. I believe $350 or something a year. And being on such a high salary means they can save up the money on a monthly basis, where that needs analysis comes back into place, where you go through that exercise and say, okay guys, we have this much of saving, we own this much, so we can afford blah. And being a buyer's agent is you have to have that pre-qualification in place first before you even start looking, because otherwise we'll be just wasting your time, because they can say we want to have a house at $1 million, but they can literally just afford 600 or something. So yeah.
And another situation of a client that I put forward to Rumana was a client that we actually had coming in and was looking for, I'm going to say probably 40 kilometers outside of it was probably even further. I don't know how many people here are from Melbourne, but was the Olinda area. And to find a rental property in an area like that can be very difficult. So for me it was an easy thing to say to Rumana, let's try and find them a home to purchase, because we're not going to find them a rental property in Olinda. There's just nothing that comes up. So it's been great to have that. And then there's also been off the plan type options where international clients might be wanting to buy off plan. And that sometimes opens a few more doors for them as opposed to buying an established home.
Yes, so if they are classified as foreign investors, then they can purchase commercial property without the additional stamp duty. And however, with commercial property, the lenders have different LVRs, and that means they cannot borrow as much as they like. So again, you'll have to have that initial deposit either ways, really.
Yeah. I don't know if you're still seeing my screen, but this is just some of the houses and the people that we've been helping in the last few weeks. So you can see it's quite, from the 1-bedroom apartment amount that we can work on with our clients. And I think this is always interesting as well for internationals, especially, is the difference between the advert and the reality of what's advertised in the rental and sometimes buying, I'm too scared to say, but the importance of us doing those inspections. So if you have a look here, this apartment here is what I found on the Saturday when I arrived to do the inspection, whereas this was the advertised beautiful picture. And the same with this was the advert of a beautiful set of apartments, but when I arrived, they were actually doing the render throughout the building, and it would have that scaffolding on for the next 6 months. So it's important. And I get a lot of people who sort of say, oh, I'm just going to buy a property, just find me a rental. I'm not too worried about it. That one looks good.
Yep.
No, we really have to inspect them.
Yeah, definitely. And that's no different to properties that people want to buy either. Pictures look very different, and it's so important to have a local expert in fields to do the errands for you.
Yes, exactly. Are there any other questions at the moment?
Let me check if there's anything in the chat, but guys, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. No questions?
I have one question, Robyn. So,
thanks, Andy.
In your experience, all the people who come to you, okay, not everyone is obviously coming to you. So, before these people came to you, where were they actually going looking for properties in Australia? Like, okay, when they come to you, you know, you can help them out. But before, like before they came to you, were they going to a website to look for properties in Australia? Or they were contacting estate agents to look for properties? What were they doing actually?
Well, the estate agents generally won't give you the time of day in Australia when it comes to rental properties. If you're not in the country, our rental market moves extremely quickly. If something stays on the rental market for more than two weeks, something's wrong with it. So a lot of people are, browsing through realestate.com.au or domain.com.au, and they're seeing some of the lovely photos that I showed you a minute ago, which look all bright and breezy. And then when we arrive, they're not half as bright and breezy as they look. But there's a general perception, Andy, that it's Australia, it's easy, it'll be all right, and a lot of people arrive here and call me in a panic from the hotel. And people underestimate jet lag, first of all. And I'm going to give an estimate of probably $500 to $1,000 that people will waste in their first week without having somebody to guide them. And the reason being because they'll be driving around to suburbs they have no idea about, but they've seen on Google Maps. They'll be eating out on the road or getting takeaways or getting Uber Eats at night. There's just so many hidden costs when you don't go straight into your own place. And then there's the hotel costs, the car hire costs, the everything else. On average, on an international relocation, we'd save somebody between $4,000 and $6,000.
So how are you going about getting in touch with these people there? Like, I'm sure there are lots of others who are not coming. So how
are they finding me?
How do they find you?
A lot have come through. A lot have come through the book. There's a lot of contacts that have come through the book, so that's been great. I hold a lot of webinars myself, Facebook Lives, social media, word of mouth. I don't do a lot of marketing. Even my corporate clients, I've got some real big household names on the corporate, and I don't do much marketing on that. It's all been word of mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say probably for every person I help, they would probably introduce me to at least one or two other people. It might be in a year's time or 3 years' time, but and I've got clients now. This, funny enough, I had a client coming from England. And he sent me a property and I looked at the link of the property. He said, oh, I really like this one because it's obviously a bit of teamwork. I need their input as well. And he said to me, I really like this property. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, the address looks familiar. So I went into my emails and I just looked in my emails what the address was and realized that I'd put a client in that property 3 years ago. So I texted Tracy and I said, hey, are you moving? And she said, yeah, we're heading out to Mount Macedon. We want to get away from the city a little bit. So I said, oh, has your estate agent started inspections yet? And she said, we had some on Friday and we've got 2 today. And I said, I just can't get in contact with the estate agent. So she's no problem. I've got her number. Within 5 minutes, I had the estate agent call me and said, Tracy said you want to see the house. I was like, yes, please. I ran out the door, saw the house and managed to secure it for the next clients. So it's definitely word of mouth works well for me.
I couldn't agree more, actually, Robyn.
Well, last question, Robyn. Are there websites? Like I've seen websites in China and other places where they're specifically selling international properties. Do they have websites in Canada and UK doing the same? or they
So
people
selling
are,
to the Chinese market?
yeah, there are website dedicated just selling
I'm sure.
international property to people in China. So are there
Yeah.
similar websites in UK and Canada doing the same? But it's mostly for investors, and I'm sure there are people who want to move to going to those websites, but it's predominantly, I think, targeted towards the investors who wants to invest in property.
You're probably better to answer that question, Rumana.
I was just going to. So I do know that even 20 years ago, every country has got their particular real estate platform. And yes, I mean, in the UK and Germany at the time, I remember there were properties from Greece, Turkey, Italy, and God knows where advertised on their platform. Now, how they actually get those listings is a different question. I don't know how that works, but being part of EXP is a global agency. I know that, us particularly, we have more than 60,000 agents across the world, and having, I'm at the moment, actually, I'm working with Indian agents right now to help a client here in Australia to sell their house in India. And the clients don't want to be traveling to India, especially because of COVID, and it's expensive just to go and sell something. So having that network of agents in every country is quite beneficial, and you can actually advertise an Australian property with your, other agents in the other country. And as long as you have that conjunctional agreement to work on it together.
I learned something new too.
Yes. So we are everywhere.
Yeah.
But
I know somebody in South Africa is trying to sell a house.
Oh, let me know.
Okay, that's good to know. Which area?
What's that?
Which area? Which part of South Africa?
Somewhere near Joburg, I think.
Oh, okay. Because I've got someone in Cape Town who may be looking at some time. It's good to know.
Okay. Are you an estate agent in South Africa? I can tell the accent, but.
No, I'm actually based in Melbourne.
Oh, okay. Estate agent.
Yeah. I'm an estate agent for Z Real Estate based in Melbourne.
Okay.
And it's really awesome to hear your concept and what it is that you're doing there, actually, because I've actually just started a business doing virtual walkthroughs or virtual tours as well myself, which I think would be really helpful to some of your clients. So I think we should definitely talk further and see how we could work together on that, because it might be a handy tool. So you can possibly do some inspections, because what this tool does as well is it allows you to do live walkthroughs while the client's looking at it as well online. So you can video call with them on the actual virtual tour, which is quite handy. So we should definitely
talk. Does it record at the same time then?
It doesn't record because it's not necessarily the Zoom platform, but this platform itself it does the live walkthrough. So you can walk through it with the client on the other side as well. So it's handy. Yeah.
I've tried it a few times. I've tried to do that a few times, but the time zones, I get some really funny responses from somebody's beds at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to do a walkthrough.
I love your Z videos, actually, Peter. They're all. I think everyone's a big fan here in Melbourne.
Good.
Thanks, Rumana. Yeah, we try and be a bit different, and do things a little bit more outstanding than the norm, which is good.
Yeah, I love it. That's good. But I guess what we want to probably round off here with, because we're going towards the last 15 minutes of the hour, is, answer any more questions, and also maybe just touch base on which professionals you actually work with, Robyn, so that, everyone can sort of see how they fit into the bigger picture.
Yeah, sure.
I guess with Peter, for example, if anyone wants to buy, I can reach out to you, Peter, and say, hey, Robyn wants, someone who wants to buy in your area. You probably have something. So that's one way. But I think V from Lifestyle, V Finance, she's a mortgage broker, and so is Shri. Both of them have helped me with a lot of overseas clients to get their finance across the line. So.
Right.
And, conveyancers, we don't have anyone here online today, but, there's conveyancers. Who else is there, Robyn? I think you probably can tell us more about all the people that you work with.
Yeah, so at the moment, the people that are coming into Australia, I've still been fairly busy through COVID. It has obviously been drip feeding, but I've still been fairly busy. The borders are technically closed, except if you're on what they call the PIMSOL list, which is the priority skills list. And people on the PIMSOL list are doctors, vets, psychiatrists, you know, typical people you might need during a global pandemic. So I have still been moving a lot of doctors, probably got 6 or 7 doctors to move before the end of this year. And in the last few weeks, I've definitely had a few people jump online, especially on a Monday morning, and say, hey, our visa's been approved, we're coming now, type of thing. Or last Monday, I had a phone call from Katie, and Katie said to me, hi, Robyn, just letting you know, I know last time we spoke, I was coming on the 11th of January, but I'm here now. I got on a last minute flight and I've arrived. So I was completely into panic mode. And we're looking for a house for Katie, but definitely doctors have been moving through COVID. Now we're getting a lot of Australians that are returning to Australia, so that may have been overseas. So the immigration agents are processing a lot of family visas, partner visas at the moment. So we're still doing a lot of Aussies that are returning. In a couple of weeks' time, I'm on a live Facebook with Aussies in London. It'll be a very early morning and lots of strong coffee. But that's also going to be a really great place to just find out how many Aussies are actually returning. There's a lot of talk at the moment about how many students have left Australia. And yes, they have, but we're expecting around 400,000 students to come back to Australia next year. And that's the average. Although the media is saying we've lost millions and billions in students, we've only lost 14% of our student market. So students, although they're not a big part of Personnel Relocations' ideal avatar for a client, they definitely are for the Immigrant Networks side of things. So they are somebody to watch. And I know there's a lot of student accommodation that's been recategorized, I don't know what the word is, to being, you know, it's not just for students now, people can live there as well. So there's some good investment opportunities there. Once the Australians are all back and the PR people are, you know, and people who are getting PR could be highly skilled people that are getting PR visas, permanent resident visas, which gives them a pathway to citizenship. So the people that are coming to Australia at the moment are definitely coming for a long term. They're not my business visas, you know, that are, you know, for the likes of Cotton On Group or Country Road Group, who are bringing somebody here for 2 to 3 years. The people that are returning at the moment are ideal consumers, if you like, for a long-term investment. So I think that's really promising, and I think we'll see that for at least the next 6 to 8 months is long-term Aussies coming back, and those on the PIMSOL list. And a lot of the people that I'm moving at the moment, and I have moved through COVID, those that have been brave enough to move through COVID are definitely here for the long haul. So that's really comforting.
That's actually quite good for us real estate professionals to, you know, actually tap into, as well as, I mean, I'm predominantly seeing a lot of investors buying apartments, although a lot of people have gone away from apartments. People don't realize that after December, when the borders open up again, people will be coming back, students will be coming back. There's going to be a need for, you know, apartment style living.
Absolutely.
Especially around if it's medical stuff, around the hospital precinct or university campuses. So, you know, developers that have strategically got their projects happening in those areas are actually going to be, you know, very, very busy. And we've actually seen that. So some people in the Melbourne's Ivanhoe area with apartments, then there's some in the Yarra Bend area, and those apartments they're all gone at the moment. So yes, it's definitely a good investment if you want to, you know, rent out. So
yes, and don't be afraid of, you know, there's a lot of Melburnians who are moving out the city, but there's also a lot of the visa restrictions are outside of a 30-kilometer radius of the city, especially for some of the medical professions. So Mornington Peninsula has just boomed in the last few months. for rentals and purchasing. I used to go to an inspection in Mornington and there might be 2 or 3 other people. There's now 20 at an inspection. It's absolutely crazy. But also something else to bear in mind is there's definitely, I'm seeing a shift in the government in the last few years, because you have, I'll try and put it sort of as simply as I understand it, not being an immigration person, but you have the skills shortage list and you have state-sponsored visas. So the state of Victoria, the state of New South Wales, whatever it might be, they will sponsor visas. But the government's trying to move away from that, and they're actually putting caps on those numbers. If you hear that somebody's actually coming out on a global talent visa or an investor visa, there's no caps on those visas as far as the government's concerned. So at the moment on skilled visas for business sponsorship, I think the cap's only sitting at 30,000 people. Whereas a few years ago, there was no cap on that. So if you hear that somebody's coming out on some of those short-term visas, don't chase them as a client, is what I'm saying. You're looking for people that are coming on PR visas, so permanent residents who are looking for a pathway to citizenship. You're looking for people who are coming on the investor visas. The investor visas are people who are willing to open a business here and invest at least $5 million in the first 5 years.
Mm.
So those are definitely, they're going to need commercial properties. They're going to be starting up a business of their own. So those are the visas you really want to look out for. And if you trying to target people in a Google Ads, target global the investment visas. That's a real good target market for you. But I think at the moment, Aussies coming back, repatriating back to Australia is a big one for you.
Great. I guess to round it off, Shri and V, since I have you here and you with your finance background, what have you faced in terms of challenges to actually get finance across for people that come from overseas?
Maybe I'll let Shri go ahead first. Shri?
Yeah, what I think is the challenge is not many lenders are really look forward to do the loans for expats. But I have been working with at least 2 to 3 lenders who are specialized in that department and would love to, that's their niche. And the challenges I face is basically from the client's perspective to provide more sort of documents for the last 6 months or 12 months for that matter to be submitted. And their visa, where their what can I say? Where their current situation is for the visa. That's all I would say. But we make the process much easier. With the checklist, what we provide, and half of the burden will be taken away with the handheld process. But apart from that, I don't see as many challenges in the process of doing expats.
Yeah, I think like Shri advised, there are a few lenders who will be specializing in this field, but at the same time, we have to look at the loan to value ratio, the amount that the lenders are willing to lend. So that also is one sticking point there. But we do have the majors that look at it as well, but the LVR will be slightly lower. So also, again, like she said, it's also depend on the visa status as well that they have. So we do have lenders that look at it. So definitely let's go for it.
Thanks, V, also. And you're looking at one of my clients as well. How long has the process been now in terms of finance because of the complexity that they're facing?
Yeah, I think the main thing about the people who are, I would say people who are migrating here, it depends what visa status they have here. Because at the end of the day, if they are here and they are taking a job here, then they'll be paid in Australian dollars. The employment will be here. So the different criteria that the lender will look at. Because once they're here, they have the employment here and the contract of work is here, then they are paid in Aussie dollars. So which means then it will be classified differently, So in these scenarios, like I think I've heard everyone saying, even Rumana was saying, we really need a very good lawyer or immigration lawyer, a very good lawyer before they come, so that they have all the facts covered.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and I think that starts so far in advance, and I think that's something that a lot of people are not doing. It's a bit like when I'm moving somebody and then they tell me a month before they're coming, oh, we've got a dog. And the dog process has to start 6 months ago because they need blood tests and they need all sorts of things and booking quarantine. You can't just decide a month in advance. And I think it's the same there, you know, and it's the same as if you're starting a business and your accountant sets up that business differently if you're going to be selling the business in 5 years' time. And the same has to be for your visa. If you're looking to buy a property, you need to apply for the right visa if that is going to be one of your goals.
Yes. Yes, the main thing is the visa status, because that will also impact on the SRO, the stamp duties and so forth.
Yes.
So it is complex. There are so many elements to it. So if you have, firstly, you really need a good immigration lawyer, because they need to let you know which visa status you need to be granted. Because as depending on that visa status, the lender will be looking at that visa status before the lender. So that's, you know, it's all correlated.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's not that straightforward, because if we could all choose which visa we wanted, we would all choose PR or straight to citizenship. But unfortunately, all the visas work on a points system, and the points are based on your age. So if you're over 55, you drop off about 5 points. And which degree required in Australia, all those things add up to the points. So unfortunately, it's not as easy as always being able to choose the visa. But there are some people who could rather not be so impatient, perhaps. They are eligible for PR, but the processing time for a PR visa is about 3 to 6 months longer than what it can be for, you know, a standard business visa. So some people don't have an option which visa they can have, but some just need to be a little bit less impatient and rather wait longer and get that PR than try and get on the next boat out of here.
Yeah,
correct. Agree.
Yes, we'll round off now, but I'd really like to thank Robyn so much for the insight into your world of relocation. And, you know, coming from real estate, all I have to say is, even with property, you know, you have to get all the different trades together to build a house, and you have to do that planning way ahead before it gets built or gets to the site. Relocation is no different, as you know, Robyn has talked to us about. So get your plan straight, get your facts right, and seek the right professionals for help before you make you know, your move, because you're definitely going to be saving yourself a lot of headache.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Rumana. Thank you for having me. And it's been lovely to meet you all. And please feel free to reach out if I can answer any questions further. It's been lovely to meet you. Thank you. Same here, same here. Any last questions before we head off?
No, I think, Rumana, I really like to thank you, because this is really informative, and Robyn, really, like, you've come on board, and this is one of its kind. So well done, Rumana. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, V. And thank you, everybody, also to come on board. Thanks, Peter, Khaja, Mickey, Andy, Scott, Priya, Gautam. Take care. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.